Hey, what's up guys, this is Tristan, and today I'm going to be reviewing a series that I've been reading for the past few years, and I recently reread the series in its entirety, and that series is the 10-volume horror manga, Happiness by Shuzo Oshimi. So basically the series starts off with this high school student named Okazaki, and he's walking around, and one day late at night, this vampire named Nora jumps down and bites him in the neck. Now, if you know a thing or two about vampires, you probably know that if you get bitten by one and survive, you'll turn into one as well, and that's exactly what happens to Okazaki. Now, as Okazaki slowly starts to transition into a vampire, some really interesting characters are introduced, including Yuki, Now, and most notably Gosho, who I'll talk about in a minute because she's probably my favorite character in the series. Now, something that I really like about the series is that even though the series is primarily about vampires, the main focus is actually about the characters and just the different interactions with the characters and their progression from start to finish. And even though the series is only 10 volumes long and it's pretty fast paced, there is some amazing character progression in this series. Like, from start to finish, Okazaki and Gosho both progress incredibly well. Also, something that I really like about the series is the characters always feel really grounded in its world, and it makes the series feel somewhat realistic. Like, if you took out all the vampire stuff in the manga, the series would probably feel pretty real. And that's done especially well in this manga, and a lot of other horror manga out there, and just a lot of other horror stories in general, feel very wacky and not really believable, but this manga is done in a way where it doesn't feel too far-fetched in the genre, besides obviously the vampire stuff. Now, going back to my thoughts on the character Gosho, basically around halfway through the series, she starts to really become the main character, and then the main character in the first few volumes, Okazaki, more becomes a secondary character. And I'm not going to go into that too much to avoid spoilers, but I really think that this was an amazing decision on Oshimi's part. Now, the reason for this is because as Okazaki starts to turn into more of a vampire, more restrictions are placed on what can be done with this character, and as the series goes on, it would be harder and harder to tell the end of the series if he was still the main character. So switching the main focus of the series to Gosho was an amazing decision, and it really made for some great moments that wouldn't have been possible to tell if Okazaki was the main character of the series from start to finish. Also, I really want to give some props to Happiness Volume 6, because this volume is probably my favorite volume in the entire series, which mainly focuses on Gosho, and obviously not going to get into spoilers with that, but if you're reading the series, just know that when you get to Volume 6, you're in for a real treat, because this one's pretty good. Also, the pacing moves at a breakneck pace, and a lot of the manga that I read honestly moves kind of slowly for the most part. Even a lot of shonen action manga moves pretty slowly, which shouldn't be the case for an action series. But on the other side of things, pretty much every horror manga that I've read moves at a really fast pace. And Happiness is no exception to that, because this series is 10 volumes long, but it's incredibly fast. And what I mean by that is you can easily read the series in less than a week. And for me, I reread this entire series in 3 days. And those weren't even 3 days when I had complete free time, because those were actually 3 days where I was kind of busy, but I still managed to read the entire series in those days. Now, with that being said, even though I generally prefer fast-paced manga, I do think that the series could have been a little bit longer in certain parts. I think that 2 more volumes of this manga would have been pretty nice to see. Whether that be 1 more additional volume towards the beginning and 1 more towards the middle or end, that would have been pretty nice to see, but nonetheless, the manga still ended up being great. As for the artwork of the series, I don't really have a ton to say about it, besides it looks great from start to finish. Shuzo Oshimi's artwork was amazing in his previous work, The Flowers of Evil, and it's improved by a tenfold since then. Now let's talk about that ending, because when I was reading the manga monthly, I wasn't really sure if I liked the ending or not, and I definitely had a lot of mixed opinions about the ending. But after rereading the series from start to finish, I really love the ending, and especially the last few chapters, because it really had a lot of callbacks to the beginning of the series, and overall brought things into full circle and really made it feel like an amazing, complete series. Now, the last thing that I should probably mention is that this series gets very violent and graphic at times, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can already somewhat expect that, considering this is a horror manga. but if you can't really handle that type of thing, I probably wouldn't recommend reading this manga. And it honestly does go a little bit overboard at times, so you might want to be prepared for that. In conclusion, even though some people might have some mixed opinions about the end of the series, and even though the series got a little too violent at times, I think that the horror genre is supposed to push the envelope, it's supposed to be kind of eye-opening, and it's supposed to twist your expectations, so if you look at it from that perspective, Happiness is a perfect horror manga. A callback. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to slap the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know what you think of this video or this series. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next time for my full series review of...
And so your son may be the most powerful person in the world, but he's also a scared 11-year-old boy!